弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナマンダーナマンダーナマンダーナマンダーナマンダーナマンダー。Please join me in chanting Sambujo. Please join me in reading the Golden Chain 2. I'm a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Now please join me in chanting Sambutsuge. Sambutsuge is a gatha which comes from the larger sutra of immeasurable life. It is the praises voiced by Bodhisattva Dharmakara to the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja. In these praises, Dharmakara expresses his own desire to attain Buddhahood and his heartfelt determination to accomplish his goal for the sake of saving all sentient beings. 一五四奇妙道場小絶極如内音二無闘争がと愛民道断一切実法来生新年頂上と意とが国慶楽安穏公仏信用税が心象本願の日力少々欲実法生存知恵無下上量子孫知が信行軽量心死食毒中が行精進忍住不敬なんだぶなんだぶなんだぶなんだぶなんだぶなんだぶがんにしくどく平等性祭道本菩提心往生Namandab, namandab, 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 namandab. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here today. I'd like to start the next portion of our service, which will be my Dharma message. If you give me just a moment, I have a presentation to share. If you'll please join me in Dasho, I'd like to share some words from Shinran's Kyogyo Shinsho. The beings of the Tathagata's pure lotus are born transformed from the lotus of perfect enlightenment. In this world of miscellaneous modes of births, their fellow beings are numerous, and these fellow beings experience pain and pleasure in myriad variations because of their diverse karmas. In that land of happiness, every single being is born transformed from the pure lotus of Amida Tathagata's perfect enlightenment, for they are the same in practicing the Nembutsu and following no other way. This extends even to this world, so that all Nembutsu practitioners are siblings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. This passage that I just shared for today's Gosandai comes from our founder Shinran's Hyogyo Shinsho. And here he's explaining that all beings experience life differently, depending on the causes and conditions or karma of our births and upbringing in the world. These differing experiences can be beautiful, they can be disconcerting and tragic, full of epic victories and horrendous losses. They might be laden with insightful and isolating journeys, and they might also be filled with heartwarming bonds of families that are both chosen and are families of origin. These differing life experiences, which can bring us together via connection, empathy, and love, are just as often lead us to disagreements, frustration, and confusion with other people, especially those who we love deeply. Buddha, which is beyond our human conception, the expression of ultimate truth, of compassion and kindness, takes on these myriad differences that we have, and rather than eliminating them during our lifetimes, those differences that can limit our perspectives and cause us so much trouble, they're transformed into the waters of enlightenment and truth. Seemingly, there are vast differences between you and I, our life stories, our ethnic and religious heritages, the information, intelligence, and wisdom, and life experience that we have may all vastly differ. And yet, here we are in community, together, learning together with and from one another, as equals. The Dharma teaches us that we're all interconnected by immeasurable and incomprehensible causes and conditions, going back to the beginningless past. Through the Dharma, that is, the sutras and the words of great Buddhist teachers, and our own mindful self-reflection, we begin to understand that this is the true nature of our being. This is to say that our authentic selves, which are many threads of individuality woven together in a great tapestry of life, this authentic and interdependent self is uncovered by the tireless working of wisdom and compassion in our lives. Shinran and the Pure Land Masters teach us that our natural state is covered by the dust, the clouds and mists of our subjective egos. We tend to think about ourselves in isolation, and this way of thinking can lead us to a lot of pain for ourselves because we might feel alone, uncared for, or isolated. We might think in our minds or say with our mouths, she's too busy with her own life to come visit me or to call me. He only wants money for himself, or they've bought into so many lies that they can't understand my reality. This self-centeredness can also lead us to neglect others in our lives. It might even lead us to say or think things that invalidate their experiences. At times, we might be filled with judgment, saying things like, I can't do these things that keep others safe because it's too much of an inconvenience for me, or that person doesn't know what they're talking about. Everyone has a hard time, so they just need to tough it out and get used to it. A lot of this separation and isolation that clouds our vision about the world happens because we aren't willing to truly listen to others. And that usually means that we go through life thinking especially about ourselves. This problem is only exacerbated in the dominant culture here that praises hyper-individualism, economizes and capitalizes on the value of individuals based on their labor, and preys on the insecurity and isolation that many of us face by telling us just to work harder to get what we want in life. In a lot of ways, the teachings in our Sangha, or our temple community, are antithetical to this dominant culture. And it's really important for us to recognize this as Buddhists, because we have to think critically about how we might fit in to our larger communities. Many of us know what it's like not to fit in. We might not fit in with this dominant culture because of our race, our religion, our gender and sexuality, our ability, or many other intersections of our identities. And all of those things make us different. But at the same time, we are a part of the Sangha. And we're part of so many other different communities. And we have to take care of one another. Currently, we're taking care of one another by having our online services on Sundays. And it's wonderful that there are some temples who have been able to reopen and have hybrid services. However, it's important that we remain vigilant and take care of one another. While mandates and rules have been changing and relaxing, we still have to exercise careful judgment in our behavior because the pandemic isn't over. Sometimes safety isn't convenient and requires a lot of adjustments for both of us as individuals and in community. Safety in our communities requires personal sacrifice and is not always easy. Many of us have been born and raised in the US, where individualistic entrepreneurial spirit of looking out for number one is generally the ideal. Our quality of life shouldn't be determined, however, by our own individual victories in personal wealth and fame and isolated comfort and safety. Rather, it stems from the closeness of our communities and our ability to care for and love one another. Community care isn't always about giving either. Sometimes it's about knowing when to ask for help, especially when we're in trouble or we don't understand the problems that we're facing. Our communities should be a reflection of the Dharma, a place where individuals hold one another in loving kindness, where we can all pursue the liberation that we all desire as Buddhists. This place of mutuality doesn't erase our differences, but allows us to more deeply connect with one another so that we can learn with and from one another and all grow together towards the free and bright sun of wisdom and compassion. Here at the end of my Dharma talk, I'd like to share a few excerpts from a piece written by my dear friend, Shakutake Eli Wren Brown. I met Wren through the Institute of Buddhist Studies. They use they and he pronouns, and Eli is a Black, queer, and non-binary meditation instructor. In addition to an impressive amount of community healing work, they also lead the meditation program at the Midwest Buddhist Temple, which is part of the BCA. Its practice is grounded in meditation as an act of abolition, and they see this communal healing as part of the radical rest that helps sustain revolutionary action. This piece from which I'd like to share is published by Homey House Press and is called Will You Get Free With Me? A meditation on anti-nationalism, a love letter to radical community, and a record of abolitionist lineage transmission. I want to be free, and I can't get there without you. I need you by my side for this, breathing the entire universe in and out with me. How else could we hold it all? If not one of us may arrive alone, then we must carry each other across the threshold in loving arms. Can't you feel the heat of my exhale join yours? For me, please take a moment to sense it. I want to live, to be free. Everything is at stake exactly right now. Imagine sitting back to back in the sun together. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly let it out through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. Relax the lower back, the glutes and thighs. Notice the temperature of the air around you. Feel your lungs expand in all directions as you inhale and as you exhale. Sigh out completely, letting out a little ah sound that resonates and grounds deeply into your belly, your toes, the earth. What border could be drawn between us when we breathe this way? When our bellies hang completely relaxed, and our skin, sun-warmed, sweats salt into the atmosphere and the earth. Will you get free with me? I know the path is long and weary. We are so tired, and so much violence has been carved into the lands, our hearts. But I am here before you, and my hands are outstretched. Place your hands in mine and feel my breath. Don't you hear how loudly our hearts beat together? Inhale, I vow to be here. Inhale, I vow to be present. Inhale, I vow to return. My breath is entirely ours. May we always return to the moment. May we set each other free. Namo Amida Butsu. I'm so grateful for my friend Rin. This piece is really incredible, and I only shared a couple of selections from it. But the larger piece also tells a story of reflecting on loss and grief, visiting a cemetery, honoring lineages of ancestors both near and far, and the pains of injustice and violence that so many communities face. Eli's reflections on community and mutual support resonate deeply with what continues to draw me to Buddhist teachings, because this collectivist pursuit of joy and liberation is at the very heart of my own religious and spiritual life. Without a communitarian understanding of our shared faith, I'm not sure why I would pursue Buddhism, because these values challenge the myriad terrible problems of violence, individualism, and selfishness that plague the dominant cultures around the world. I hope that we can continue to think about ways to care for one another, both in our temple communities and beyond. I'd like to conclude my Dharma talk today by sharing the words of Shinran once more. Please join me in Gassho. The beings of the Tathagata's pure lotus are born transformed from the lotus of perfect enlightenment. In this world of miscellaneous modes of birth, their fellow beings are numerous, and these fellow beings experience pain and pleasure in myriad variations because of their diverse karmas. In that land of happiness, every single being is born transformed from the pure lotus of Amida Tathagata's perfect enlightenment. For they are the same in practicing the Nembutsu and following no other way. This extends even to this world, so that all Nembutsu practitioners are siblings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 namanda. Okay, that will conclude our service for today. I'd like to thank the Buddhist Temple of Marin for their support. Thank you to everyone who came to the live service, and thank you to everyone who watches our service on the recording on YouTube. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm going to stop the recording and allow us to hang out for a few minutes.